Hey everybody, Rob here from Rob's Game Group. Hope you're doing good, and I am here with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about terrain for role-playing games or for miniature war games, and how to get some great terrain for 20 bucks or less. So, jumping right in, I have several things that I'm going to talk about that are fantasy based, but I have one that's sci-fi based. We have a store in my local area called Ollie's, and if you don't have one, they're kind of like a Big Lots. They sell basically discounted stuff that's on its way out, and the item that I picked up from there was the Pelican from Halo. It's a model kit. Now, the reason that I'm bringing it up is if you have an Ollie's, they have a slew of these at Ollie's now for $9.99. And if you don't, I have seen them on Amazon for like 20 bucks. So, still a $20 item, and though I'm not a huge fan of Halo, I do like the model and I think it's cool. And it's actually really sturdy, and it comes out like almost like a toy. It's so sturdy. It's got landing gear. It's got a back hatch that I swear it opens. Maybe it only opens with the landing gear down. Yeah. Got a back hatch that opens, closes back up. Not a bad model for 10 bucks. Now, what would I do with this? Well, a couple of things. I like to run sci-fi RPGs, specifically things like Alien, Those Dark Places, and whatnot. And this would be a great piece of terrain to put down on a map to show a drop ship or a fighter ship in a bay or something like that. Not really to use rules wise for like flying it around and fighting and everything, but it would be a cool piece of terrain. I also am a huge fan of skirmish miniature games, and I've been doing videos on Frostgrave, and coming out in April, Stargrave is coming out, which is basically Frostgrave in space. So having a cool piece like this to put on the board as terrain, yeah, really neat. And for, like I said, for 10 bucks, you can't. It is a model kit. You have to put it together, but for 10 bucks, you can't beat it. And even if you went online and bought it, 20 bucks, still not bad. And when nobody's home, you could, fly it around the house. I don't do that ever. So let's talk about other types of terrain you can get. So for fantasy, if you go to your local game store or if you shop online at like Amazon or other places, you can get the, Nolzurs or something, Deep Cuts or something. They're the pre-painted D&D minis and Pathfinder minis. Well, they're $4.99 a piece, and you can get some great terrain, like, now this has all been painted up, but this is a cool fountain, $4.99. This is a well that I used recently in one of my Frostgrave games. It has since been painted, but so for 20 bucks, you could get 4 cool pieces of terrain that you could use, even if you play on a map with D&D or Pathfinder or whatever your fantasy role-playing game of choice is. Occasionally throwing, a 3D object like this on the map somewhere can really enhance your game. Also, a lot of these work as objectives or objective spots in Frostgrave or other skirmish games. So yeah, you can get some really cool ones, and you can get 4 of them for the $20 limit that we're putting on this. So that's a cool way to go. Here's one that some people may not think of, so I thought I would bring it up. This is a cool little bridge that I got, and it's about the right scale for role-playing or skirmish miniatures. Now when I bought it, it was like a tan color, and I primed it, and then I painted it and put a green wash on it, and I'm going to add snow effect and ice effects to it. But this is an aquarium piece, and if you go to like your local pet store, any of your pet stores that sell aquarium stuff and fish and stuff, I always go in and look at their aquarium pieces, decor that you can get, because a lot of times they're running sales on that stuff. And I got this for like $2 or $2.50, something like that. So you can get, for the $20, you could get several pieces of terrain. Now granted, not all of it's to scale or the right theme that you want. You kind of have to dig through and look, but you can get it, is the point that I'm trying to make here. So I could have got a slew of bridges, not that I need that many bridges, but they have lots of other types of terrain. But that's just another place to look for terrain that some people may not think of, so I thought I would, toss it in the video. If you watched my video on my game room walkthrough, I talked about the blue board in the corner that I use to make terrain for my Frostgrave games, which, when I say Frostgrave, it is a miniature skirmish game, it's fantasy, but all of this could still be used for D&D or Pathfinder, whatever, if you wanted to as well. I mean, an inch is 5 feet. You don't have to have a grid. You could just use a tape measure and move everybody around. But the blue board is like this, just an insulation board. You can get this at Lowe's or Home Depot. A sheet, if I remember correctly, a sheet of this it's less than 20, so it's maybe like 10 or 15 bucks. But a full-size sheet is 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. You can build tables full of terrain out of that much. I bought a sheet of this. I've been using it for months, and I still have a bunch of it left. But what did I do with it? So you can do very simple stuff. You can build ruined walls, and these are simple. You just cut the wall sections out. I take a slightly dull pencil and then press in and indent my brickwork, and then I take a hobby knife and score the edges and corners and stuff up, then paint it black, and dry brush it gray, and you can call it done there. But and you could literally put an entire city's worth of ruins out doing this for less than 20 bucks. I'm going to add more to this, because I'm going to add snow to the top and maybe some ice effects on it before I'm done with all of it. And I've built quite a bit of this already. If you have not used this before and you want to use the blue board, you can make a ton of terrain really quick. I'm going to show you another piece I made here. However, if you haven't used it before, you want to prime it before you paint it, but don't use a spray primer. Because if you don't know already, a spray primer will eat this stuff. It will literally melt it. So the pieces that, what I do is the pieces that I cut out and build, I use a black brush on primer or black paint, and I do it all with a brush. And once it's dried, then I paint the piece. And if you want to spray it with something afterwards, after it's completely painted, you should be okay. I've done that before and it doesn't eat it. The paint kind of forms like a protective cover on it. But yeah, you can build a lot of cool stuff with that blue board. For instance, this piece here is a piece I built with that blue board. I did use a couple extra pieces on this, but this is just 2 pieces of the blue board. I etched out like the cobblestone style ground. This piece is an altar that was one of these things from I guess it was Deep Cuts or something, but you know, $4.99. It came with another piece, but I used it on something else. But I just took the altar, glued it on here. These pillars you can get at like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. You can get a pack of them for a couple of bucks. They're wedding cake toppers. And what I do is I got a whole drawer full of them over there because I'll buy a bunch at a time. And I'll take them and cut them and break them up and use them to make ruined pillars that I then just glued on this piece. And this makes a good centerpiece on the table. And that could be an objective, or the central treasure is that my players are fighting over, or my warbands are fighting over. So there's again, paint it black, but there's a lot you can do with that blue board. I've built a whole lot of other stuff, but I want to drag it all down. But there's just a couple of examples you can do with it. Like I said, it comes in a 4-foot wide, 8-foot sheet. I built enough of this terrain that I gave half of it away to a buddy of mine for his birthday because he's putting a game room in his house. And I'm like, here, you need terrain for your house. I got a bunch of this stuff. And I gave it away, and then you know, I built more. So, you know, that's what I do. The last thing I'm going to show you today is this crypt. Now, this is a cool piece. I have painted and owned this piece like 4 or 5 times already. This is made by Reaper Miniatures. It's a hard gray plastic stuff. This is called the Obsidian Crypt, and you can get it on, I don't remember how much it is on Reaper's website. I can't imagine it's much more, but on the on Amazon it's 20 bucks. And I just picked another one up, put it together, painted it all up pretty much in one afternoon, one morning. It's been kind of dreary here this morning, so that's what I've been doing, is painting stuff. But it actually, when you get it, you have a choice. You can do what I did. I glued it all together, but you can leave it where this whole section comes off the base, and there's a bunch of brickwork and cool arcane design on the inside of the base if you want to represent them, your characters going into the building. I'm using it basically for a necromancer's tomb for Frostgrave. And I've always painted it with just the gray brick before, and like I said, I've done it 4 or 5 times. This one I wanted to do differently, so once I did the gray brick, I went back and used Bale-Tan green wash from Games Workshop, and I went over all the brickwork with that wash, and I like the way it turned out. I think it has a really cool creep factor to the way it looks. But again, that's a really cool central piece that you can get for 20 bucks. Granted, you know, you're not getting 4 or 5 pieces for 20 bucks, you're getting one, but it's a really nice centerpiece for your table. Those are just, obviously there's lots of other ways to do terrain. I always look for, you know, cheap ways to get out doing terrain if I can. So I thought I would pass some of that along, and I'll probably do more videos on some of the other terrain that I build. If you've got any questions about it, feel free to put them in the comments. You can also, you know, let us know what kind of terrain you build. You can join us on Rob's Game Group on Facebook. Post pictures of terrain that you built. Love to see some of it. And when I get some more terrain that I want to show off, I'll probably make another one of these videos. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different terrain you can do for, you can do all of it for like less than 60 bucks. But, you know, 20 bucks gets you a lot of cool terrain there if you go about it right. That's all I got for this video. Kind of a short one, just wanted to share that with you. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. And until next time, as the prophecy foretold, good gaming and good luck.